Hey guys, I just want to comment on the big hubbub lately about the case of Darlie Routier. Supposedly there is now fingerprint testing going on. Yeah, that's news, right? We've heard that for the last 22 years. I have a question. Let's just say, for the sake of discussion, let's just say that the fingerprint testing comes back of some unknown male. Does that mean she's innocent? Does that suddenly erase all of the evidence that clearly shows she murdered her children? Does that erase the evidence that she stood at the sink and inflicted her wounds when she stabbed her arm and tried to slash her throat and then cleaned up the mess before she dialed 911? If a fingerprint test comes back saying, oh, there's an unknown male on one fingerprint out of how many hundreds of prints that were tested, does that suddenly erase the evidence that shows that Darlie walked in the kitchen with blood on her feet, and then the wine glass was broken over top her footprints? People whine over and over again, and they've been whining for a couple of decades, that poor little Darlie was convicted because of the silly string video. And they say there was a memorial service that morning that was somber. Really? Because if there was any video evidence whatsoever of Darlie not smiling and laughing and chomping her gum, as one juror so eloquently puts it, don't you think that her high-priced defense team would have presented that evidence? People say that Darlie didn't have a fair trial and that her lawyers were not working for her. Really? Have you read the trial transcripts? You might want to before you chime along with that little song. Darlie Routier had the best defense team that other people's money could buy. She had a fair trial. And the jurors got it right. You know how I said in the last video that you should take a closer look at some of these YouTube channels that are in place simply to make money? So they'll say and do anything to try to grab a little cash. I think the same is true with the case of Darlie Routier. I think that people, including the mainstream media, but of course including some of the other channel creators, are trying to use the case of Darlie Routier to make some money. And as long as they can say, oh, there's going to be testing done on a print, and as long as they lie and say, oh, she was judged unfairly, or she didn't receive a fair trial, or people didn't treat her well because they didn't like the fact that she sprayed silly string on her son's shared grave. No, people didn't like the fact that she murdered her children. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. If she was male, they would have executed her 17 years ago.